In this video, I'm going to go through the multiple choice section of the standard level biology exam, November 2024. So question 1 shows a diagram of some water molecules, and the things that we can see are 4 water molecules with some hydrogen bonding. So which property is not illustrated? Well, cohesion is illustrated because the molecules are attaching to each other. Dipolarity is illustrated because we can see a hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bonding is illustrated because we can indeed see hydrogen bonds. But adhesion, which is when water molecules attach to something else, is not illustrated. So the answer there is D. In question 2, it asks what do all members of a genus have in common? And the genus is made up of many different species. And the grouping is all done based on common ancestry. So they all have the same binomial name. Well, they don't. They would have the first of the 2 binomial names, but not the second, so it's not that one. They definitely don't all belong to the same species because the genus is a larger group than the species. They wouldn't all be able to freely interbreed to produce fertile offspring because they're not all members of the same species, but they have all evolved from a common ancestor, so that would again be D. Number 3 is asking about an example of evolution by selective breeding. So what we're looking for is something that's had human intervention. So selection of prey animals that can run faster than their predators, that would be natural selection. The tendency during breeding for birds to produce more offspring than will survive here, that's natural. And the female spiders only breeding with males, which makes the right signals, is natural, as is that one. So the variation in the size of different breeds of dogs, that's something that humans have done, and so the answer there is B. Here we're looking at micrographs of 2 atypical cells, the aseptate fungal hyphae and the striated muscle fiber cells, both very large multinucleate cells. So which feature shared by both types of cells makes them atypical? And so there what we're looking for is that both have several nuclei. So those are 2 of the examples of cells which don't quite match the 3 parts of the cell theory. Question number 4, although it is number 5 obviously, sorry about that, is about hedgehogs and echidnas. So they don't have the same evolutionary origin. So we've got the same feature evolving from a non-common ancestor. Okay, so that would be analogous evolution. So what we're looking for then is that they've evolved as a result of needing to be adapted to the same, similar conditions, although separately. So the both species diverged gradually, but quills were considered conserved for successful survival. That would require them to have a common ancestor, and up here it says they do not have the same evolutionary origin, so it can't be A. Quills developed in response to similar environmental pressures. Well, that does seem to be what we are looking for. So let's just check. Quills are homologous structures. Well, no, because homologous structures suggest common ancestry, so it can't be that. And they are developed by adaptive radiation. Well, again, adaptive radiation has a common ancestor, so it can't be that. So we're confident then that B is the right answer. So now our next question about water striders, the Giridae family of insects, have their areas of the leg covered with a hydrophobic, so water repelling substance. So what property of water makes it possible for them to walk on its surface? So here we've got the water molecules, and it's to do with their high surface tension, which is due to do with the fact that they can stick together with hydrogen bonds. So we're looking there for the cohesion of water molecules. And then question 7, which cell component, or what cell component found in eukaryotic cells but not prokaryotic cells? Okay, so what are we going to be looking for? The obvious one is the nucleus, but any membrane-bound organelle. So the mitochondria is a membrane-bound organelle, so you'd find that in eukaryotes but not in prokaryotes. And you can just double check this because prokaryotes do have genetic information. It can't be that one. They do have ribosomes, 70S ribosomes, but ribosomes nonetheless, and they do also have a cell wall. So you've done a sense check there as well. Okay, question 8, looking at a prokaryotic cell. So what are the structures labelled Y and Z? I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see it a bit more clearly. So what we've got there in Y, that would be our nucleoid region, and Z is probably a ribosome, so a 70S ribosome. So now if we zoom back out again and we look at the options, well, we can immediately discount A and C because they're talking about the nucleus and not the nucleoid. And then we can discount B because although it's looking at the nucleoid, it says a 80S ribosome. And so the answer is D, nucleoid and 70S ribosome. Okay, so now we've got two cells have the following characteristics. So whether they've got ribosomes, nuclei, cell walls, cytoplasm, cell respiration, and ability to photosynthesize. So what deduction is supported by this information? So both cells are from plants. Well, if they were both from plants, then you would expect ticks in the cell wall column, which you have, but you'd also expect ticks in the ability to photosynthesize column, so not that. Cell 1 is more complex than cell 2. Well, cell 1 doesn't have a nucleus, so that seems unlikely. Cell 2 is an animal cell. Well, it's got a cell wall, so again, that can't really be true. And cell 1 is prokaryotic. Well, cell 1 doesn't have a nucleus, so yes, that would seem to make a lot of sense. Then number 10, what could be used as evidence for evolution? The selective breeding of domesticated animals, correct. The fossil record, correct. Homologous structures, correct. And so we're looking for 1, 2, and 3, so D. And that is all of the multiple choice questions of that standard level paper.